This week's reading, How Wealth Reduces Compassion by Daisy Grohl, talks about how the relationship and the correlation between wealth and compassion. It highlighted a lot of studies that shows the more powerful you are, the wealthier you are, the more affluent you are, the less inclined you are to compassionate feelings about other people. And it offered a few different reasons. It offered a possible reason that more affluent people are less dependent, so they're more self-absorbed. And the second one is that it offered that they've learned this trait or this belief that greed is good. And I want to offer a couple more reasons that I thought of as I was reading this article. One is perhaps it's also because they have this feeling that they're more important. So a wealthier person earns X amount of dollars times 4 or 5 more than an average worker, than a minimum wage worker. And that person may have this belief that their time is just worth more because they're getting paid more, because they have meetings to attend, etc., and all these things. So you kind of have this self-inflated belief about yourself and your time and your value. And then the second reason I thought of is perhaps because more affluent people just cannot relate. I feel like, when less affluent people, when you talk about real issues, it's closer to home. You know someone close to that issue, you may be close to that issue, you've experienced that issue, so you're more compassionate, you know what it feels like. And a more affluent people, they're just far removed from it. And there was one example, I forgot who was getting interviewed, but someone was asked, like a pretty wealthy person was asked, like, how much do you think grocery costs? And they quoted a ridiculous price, and they just have no idea. They just have no idea what a regular person goes through. And I guess, a more compassionate take is like, I'll use myself as an example. I am more inclined to be passionate and to be compassionate about issues regarding women's rights. Anything regarding it, I tear up. I am fired up, even though I consider myself, a fighter of social justice. There's something about it. Well, I know, it's just so close to home. For women's rights is just so close to home for me, and it resonates with me. And then I also want to offer an example about the greed is good. I thought about a friend of mine's father, and it was interesting because this friend's father was a blue-collared worker, didn't graduate college, lost his parents at such a young age, so had to work at a really young age, work 2-3 jobs to get his family out of poverty, and he was able to do that successfully. And it's interesting because when you ask him about his beliefs now, I would consider it very non-compassionate beliefs. It's like he doesn't believe in welfare. He doesn't believe in healthcare. And I think part of that idea is because he's done it. He's gotten out of this situation, so he doesn't understand maybe why people need it, why people need help. And maybe because there's a part of that also that he's learned and has used this greed is good belief, and this belief has been successful for him. And then moving on from that point, I really enjoyed that the article brought up politicians and people in power. I think we ought to think about who who represents us in these situations, especially because they carry so much power. So I love that they brought up the, you know, the issues with that.